Hello everybody, this is the first night of Intro to Programming and Database. Tonight we're going to begin by looking at the syllabus. So if you could get into your course shell and click on Unit 0. I do not have a syllabus link on the left-hand side. It will be in the Unit 0 folder under Getting Started. All right, when you go into Unit 0, you're going to see I have a little introduction about myself listed at the top, but a little bit farther down, the next entry, I do have a link to the syllabus. So what I ask you to do is please download the syllabus. It will not be distributed on paper. This will be the only copy that you'll have. It will only be available electronically. If there's any changes that are made to the syllabus, I will announce them through the announcements in Blackboard and then change that file that is posted. So please go ahead and open that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the nature of this course. The thing that's kind of interesting about this course is that it bridges all of our IT programs. The new web degree and the new software degree don't include Intro to Programming and Concepts anymore because we revised things, but in the past this course is across all 4 programs. And for a little while it still will be. What's interesting about that is people that are not programmers, like the people that work on the hardware side or do tech support or the CSS stuff, you don't really get an exposure really to proper programming. You do a little bit of scripting, a little bit of server maintenance, and this will really be your only true exposure to the concept of programming. And programming is more than just about writing code, which you'll discover shortly. But also you get an introduction to database. Now, the database part of it really is not that heavy in the course, but it is a very important part because as you'll discover, so many things are driven by databases out in IT, often behind the scenes. So really we cover those 2 things, and then at the end of the course we kind of integrate them together and write applications that are driven by databases, which is kind of fun. All right, this is our summer semester, which is kind of odd because it's still May. But Gateway has like shifted all their semesters around, but I think that's kind of a nice thing. And because I'm a web teacher, we are starting 1 week later than the regular programs do. So some of you may have already had classes that started last week. Is that correct? Yeah, and the ones that don't fit in that category are my web students. And the reason, if you guys are wondering, in the web program, we're a year-round program. We don't stop in the summer. Summer semester is our 3rd semester. So we start in fall, we do spring, summer, and fall, and you're done. If you're in software, network, or CSS, you go fall, spring for 2 years, and then you're done. So that sounds about right. And I know most of you aren't really full-time, you're part-time, you take classes, and it takes you like 3 years to finish, or something like that, which is absolutely fine, whatever your pace might be. Okay, why that is important, frankly, is we typically in the summer semester will have 15 weeks. Because the web program starts 1 week late, and they do that to basically give us an extra week off, otherwise we don't get a break at all, we only have 14 weeks to go through all the material. All right, and we will get through all of it. All right, you guys already know how to say my name. I prefer that you call me Ty, if you're curious. If you want to find my office, it's right outside the hall here, like by the entryway. It's a door directly adjacent to the doors right over here. So T312 is the room. I will be posting office hours. I haven't drafted my office hours yet, but typically that will be the days of class where I'm physically on campus. And for me this semester, it's going to be Wednesday and Thursday evenings from 5:30 on. So when I'm usually going to be in the office is probably at least an hour before class, or I'll be here in the classroom. So if you want to talk to me face to face. If you get to the situation where you need to talk to me outside those time frames, we can always set up an online meeting and do some screen sharing, and some of you may have done that in the past and maybe not. But it's kind of an odd way to communicate, but once you've done it a couple times, it really works quite well. And if you're not familiar with that process, basically what we do is we get together online either through a Google Hangout or we use Blackboard Collaborate. And I either share my screen or you share your screen. We keep a voice connection open either through the same product or over a telephone. And then a lot of times, you know, like let's say you have a problem, you want to ask a question, and you take screenshots and you put it in an email and you type up a long message, and then I don't get the stuff I want to see, and I go back and forth for like days on end trying to solve a simple problem where we can screen share, and often like in 3 minutes flat we'll fix it and you can move on. So that I will encourage you. So when you see that thing down there that says online meeting room, that's what I'm referring to. So Google Hangouts is a product that's attached to our Google Apps suite here at Gateway. So all of your Gateway email accounts have Google Hangouts attached to it. Blackboard Collaborate's a product that's built right into the course shell. I don't have it activated yet, but I will activate it as we go into the actual lecture components tonight. And what I do is as I'm lecturing, I'll share my screen, and if you guys, especially people sitting in the back, and I know you guys can't see like below this point, maybe not even below this point, guess what, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. So what I do is I broadcast my screen, you can pull it up on your machine and watch it on the second monitor, okay, if that's what you want to do. I would also encourage you to sit as close as possible here in the classroom. It's very sincerely, because a lot of times the devil is in the details. So if you can't see what I'm typing up on the screen or you can't hear me, you might miss a lot. So I look at the people in the back row. I know you guys are the cool kids, right? You all sit in the back, so you have to be too close to the teacher. I get it. That's usually where I sat too. I didn't want to get the instructor's notice, but I would encourage you to sit up close if you possibly can. The other thing I'm going to encourage you to do, if you have your own laptop available that you can bring, I think you'll find it extremely advantageous to work on your own equipment. I think that's a pretty important thing. The school equipment does come preloaded with all the software that we need, but what happens when you leave the classroom and you need to do your homework? So one of the advantages of bringing your own equipment, of course, is going to be the fact that we can make sure that Visual Studio is properly loaded on your machine and help you with any other software configurations you might need. And that way you don't have to like jump between environments or worry about where your files are stored. And we will talk about all those things in significant detail, probably more than you want to know, I'm sure. The phone number there does reach my office. I'm very rarely in the office. However, if you do leave a message, it pops up in my email, which then pops up on my phone. So if you want to get a hold of me that way, that's absolutely fine. That's probably my least used form of communication, but it is there if you want to talk to me. Email, I would say, typically is the best form of communication. And the reason for that, frankly, is it's written, right? You have a question, I can think about what you're saying, I can think about how I'm going to respond, and then you don't have to remember, did he say this or did he say that? It's written down and you can see it. However, as I alluded to before, like, with the Google Hangouts thing, sometimes email isn't always very fast or efficient. And sometimes it takes a long time to type an email compared to just talking to somebody real quickly through Hangouts or something like that. It's kind of a catch-22 though. With email, don't expect to be sending me an email at like 11:30 at night when an assignment's due at midnight, and that I'm going to be sitting there waiting for you to send the message, and I'm going to be typing the response back so you can get your assignment in by midnight. I'm going to tell you, when I get home at night, like tonight I won't get home till like 10:30 or so. I got a good hour drive to get home. The last thing I do is look at Gateway email. I sit back, I watch a little TV, and I go to sleep. Now, emails, you have to give me a day to respond. Sometimes you will get instantaneous responses, but otherwise, you can expect up to a day to get a response. And if I'm going to take longer than that, I'll email you to let you know it'll take longer than that. So you can see why that, in some circumstances, might not be the optimum thing, especially if you want instantaneous, information. All right, this is the course and section number. Hopefully you guys are in the right place. No prerequisite, no co-recs, 4 credits. And this is what we call a stacked and blended class. I hope that doesn't keep happening all night. The monitor keeps flickering on and off. But any of the people that are online and are going to be listening to this video, they're always welcome to come in. Now you guys are here face to face, but you also have the option, if you're in a situation where it's hard to get to class, doesn't mean you have to miss a thing. Knowing that I'm going to be recording the class every time, you will be able to see it the next day on YouTube. Okay, so I will be posting stuff. The other thing that you can do is, let's say you're sick, or kids are sick, or your car broke down or something like that, you can always tap into the session live from home. In which case, I'll give you a link. So the same link that you'll get to see my screen that I'm putting up on the big screen here, push to your second screens here in the classroom, we can also push that to your home location if that's the situation. And I have some students that take up on it and some that don't. And I have some students that were very religious about being online, and every week they were in class with us online, listening in, participating. And for some people that really makes a difference. When you're just reading a textbook, you're looking at PowerPoints and you're working through problems and you have issues, there's a little bit of a sense of disconnect from your online. And sometimes forging even just that one simple connection the first time is enough to say, oh yeah, I know that guy. And then, you have that thing in your head that says, oh, okay, that's that person. And you build a rapport. So there's plenty of students that I've worked through the entire program that way. And sometimes, especially if you listen to some of my older videos, you'll hear certain people will chime in on the video when they're online. Hey Ty, I have a question. It pops into the video, and it's okay. So any of that is okay. All right, you guys obviously found the right room. That's a little bit of a joke. All right, we're going to run till 9:30 every night. I do plan on using every minute of class time. So if you're thinking that, maybe you'll be done at 8:30 tonight, that's highly unlikely. All right, I do understand that you people have lives, work. I don't know what your situation is outside the classroom here, but if you will be absent, you will want to let me know. All right, this course runs through the middle of August. August 16th is the last night of class. Some of you might know what these other dates mean. That financial aid census date for this class actually is incorrect. It should be listed 1 week past that. And basically what that date is if you haven't showed up to class by that date, you're automatically dropped. So none of you have to worry about that, obviously, because you're all here. If you need to drop yourself, you have till June 2nd to do so. And that is, I don't know how it affects refunds, but I think at that point you still get a full refund if you're paying out of pocket. After that point, I get a 1 week time frame in which I can elect to drop you as well. And I won't exercise that without letting you know. So if you're not turning stuff in, you're not logging into Blackboard, you're not communicating, I will say, hey, what's up? And then if I don't hear anything, you're gone. Good news is I've never had to do that, believe it or not. But it doesn't mean that you should, once you get past that point, stop participating. You absolutely still have to. There will be a midterm grade in this class, and that usually comes about 6 or 7 weeks into the course. That date, if looking at it, looks to be like 5 to 6 weeks because we're starting 1 week late. So our midterm is going to be kind of on the early side of things. And remember, with midterms, it's just kind of a guidepost as to what your progress is. If you guys are opting to withdraw, you have up until the end of July, basically, to do so and not have it go on your record as anything other than a W, which is fine. We will have a little syllabus check-in thing that we'll do later. Let's talk about the course itself. There's a lot of things to learn when it comes to working with creating software and working with databases. The nature really of this course when it comes to working with programming and frankly, really all of IT. IT people really are just basically problem solvers. You have situations that you have to deal with, software, hardware, wiring, whatever it is, a person on the phone needing help, and your job is to figure out that problem and solve it in a way that works. So in essence, you can really kind of boil it down to problem solving. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to learn are the techniques for doing that in a systematic and structured way so that you can be successful doing it. We will start with rudiments. We will start by learning how to problem solve, not with code, but with concepts first. And then we will take those concepts and apply them to code. And I think that kind of sums up that sentence or two there. The official course competencies are listed. Those are all the little things that we're supposed to teach you. We'll learn all those things as you go through the program. The textbook that we're using is this book here by David Schneider. I know there were a couple of people that emailed me that said they got the 9th edition. And frankly, I just got this like days ago, so I haven't had a chance to do like a side-by-side comparison. It looks almost the same, but there's always changes. So please get the 10th edition, especially if you're buying it online. I know these books are expensive, so use your financial aid money. Find a used copy if you can, but get a copy one way or the other. There's a lot of like online rentals that you can get to, and some people opt for that, and that's really your choice. This one might be a good one to rent, depending on which degree program you're in. I've used this David Schneider's books for quite a while. He really writes well. His examples are very clear and concise. And some of the homework that we do, especially towards the tail end of the semester, comes directly out of the book. Okay, so you will need the book for readings and homework. It is required. Now, in terms of the technology that we're going to use, the key piece of software that we use here to do our authoring for Visual Basic, being that it's a Microsoft authoring platform, is a tool called Visual Studio. So it does require a Windows operating system to run. Now, a Windows operating system does not necessarily mean that you have to run it on a Windows machine. And anybody who's a Mac person, any Mac people? No Mac people. You're a Mac person? Or multi? Okay. And I do both platforms myself. The nice thing on a Mac is if you have adequate RAM on your machine and processing power, you can set up either a virtual machine or you can run our VDI interface, and we will talk about that. I'll show you how to do that. And that will basically allow you to run Windows within that environment and do all your work. Now, if you don't have a powerful machine, though, doing a virtual machine might be prohibitive. And I usually say a baseline for doing a VM, you want at least 8 gigs of RAM on your machine before you even consider doing it. And more 16 or more is really better. Okay, then you can probably do it. All right, has anybody here used the VDI? You guys familiar with the VDIs? All right, we'll talk about those too. VDI stands for a Virtual Desktop Interface. Gateway has a server down in Kenosha that basically runs snapshots of pre-created Windows machines with all the IT software preloaded. All it takes is a login to access it on any internet-connected computer and a client software package. I will show you how to do that. At the moment, you guys do not have accounts. By next week, when you come to class, we will have accounts, and then we can try it all in class. Some of you that might have been here previously, You could try to see if you can get into the web VDI. The chances are you probably won't be able to until I activate the accounts. All right. The actual version of Visual Studio that we're going to be using is Visual Studio 2015. It is a free product, both directly from Microsoft and through the DreamSpark or Microsoft Imagine programs. I will be demonstrating that a little bit later tonight so you know where to go get your software. All right, so you need Microsoft Windows 7 or better. Frankly, Windows 8 or 10 really is where you should be at these days. I know that a lot of people, the IT hardcores will be like, no, 7's the only good one. You know, that's really not the case. You should start changing your mindset. Have you guys noticed that we're running Windows 10 on these machines now? Yeah, welcome to the future. It's really not all that much different. But you do need to have a modern version of Windows to run Visual Studio. In fact, you know, I'm not sure of the actual requirements for Visual Studio 2015, but before you do an install, you might want to actually check the system requirements and make sure that Windows 7 supports it. I believe it does, but we can make sure. The other thing I list here is a way for you to store your files. Can I give you a piece of advice? No flash drives. Yeah, I see you holding one up. You know why? Flash drives have gone the way of the floppy disks, folks. Every class I teach, almost at the end of class, I can walk around and usually find one left plugged into a machine. And it's such a tragedy when I see people losing files that way because they're relying on that tiny little thing. The only way I would say that you should use a flash drive, you do like I do, it's like I have my office keys attached to it, you know, so I got all these little flash drives in here. And that way, well, actually they're not really even attached, honestly, because I pull them out, I can still forget it. But if you have like your car key attached to the flash drive, maybe then you won't forget it. But that is my least favorite way for people to store files or transport files. We have so many other options these days. Probably the easiest of which for you as students would be to use Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive or a tool similar to that. If you want to make it more primitive, you can always zip something and email it to yourself. And I'm hoping that you guys know all this stuff already, but I realize that some of you might not be aware of it. It just depends on, you know, who taught you and what you were taught. I'm a big user of Google Drive for all my academic stuff, just simply because it's attached to my Gateway email account. When it comes to cloud syncing software like that, really my preference is Dropbox in terms of the quality of the tool and how well it works. And Kevin, you know, the guy that was in here earlier talking about tutoring, what he would always do when he came to class, he would log in, go to Dropbox, download the software, install it on the machine, bring his whole drive down to the machine, do all his work, save it to Dropbox, and then he'd reboot the machine. Dropbox is gone because all the machines are frozen. So every time you reboot, you know, everything goes away. And he didn't have to carry a flash drive, never had to worry about losing a file. And really the advantage, folks, is that if you store your stuff out in the cloud, really for your own sake, is, you know, a laptop like this, somebody could just walk up and take it. Or what almost happened to me the other day is I almost dropped it in a puddle. I've done that with my phone. But you can imagine the kind of things that can happen with, you know, machines. If your files are stored out in the cloud, people can steal your machine all they want, take your flash drive, lose your flash drive, whatever. Your files are still there available. That is how people work these days. If you don't work that way, you need to start changing your mindset on it, because out in the workplace, people don't hand flash drives around. You know, everything is just put out in shared locations and people access them. That's the way of the world. And I might even say we're getting to the point where that's even becoming old hat, honestly. All right, so find a way to store your files where you're not going to lose them. Flash drives, bad idea. If that's what you want to do, that's absolutely fine. It's up to you. Okay, let's talk about grading. The way that I grade things in this class is I will issue a number of points for an assignment. Now, I would guess that classes that you've had in the past with other teachers, They might give you an assignment that's worth like 100 points or 50 points or 200 points or something like that. My points will be like 3 points or 2 points or 4 points. And all the points that I issue on assignments are basically equivalent to a percentage of your total grade. So if you have a 3-point assignment, like you do, like your very first one will be a 3-point assignment, that's equivalent to 3% of your grade. So you know that if you don't do that assignment, right away, the best you're going to get is a 97. Just really easy to calculate. I like that approach. For some people, it's a little bit uncomfortable because, hey, I only got a 4.5 out of 5. What does that equal to? 90%, right? A minus? See how that works? All right. In terms of how the grades break down in percentages and also in points, you will get 15 points for participation. So basically, showing up, maybe pretending like you're interested and smiling once in a while, you will earn your participation. Communication is a big part of that, especially for online students. The fact that I see that you log into Blackboard regularly, I can see that from my end. I can also see what stuff you looked at on Blackboard and what stuff you've done on Blackboard. So that's how I gauge participation if you're online. Regular assignments, meaning like weekly homework, that'll be 70% of the total, and then quizzes and exams will be 15%. Things might change. If they do change, I will let you know right here in class. We will be using this grading scale for grades. So in terms of using my point system, in order for you to have this class count towards your degree program, you need to earn 74 points, which is the bottom level for a C. If you do not earn a C in this class, you basically have to retake it if you want it to count towards your degree. So 73.9 doesn't count. 74 counts. Well, I might round that one, but that's really close. But so I think that's kind of a clear way to look at it from a point structure. I will have 2 exams. There will be a midterm and a final. With most of my classes, I do not run the exams in class. However, this is the one class that I do. So I will have time in class that you will take the midterm and the final. The final, I'll probably give you 2 hours in class, and the midterm, 1 hour in class. The midterm's worth 5 points, 5% of your grade. The final's worth 10 points or 10% of your grade. Tests are taken directly on Blackboard, and there usually will be a mix of multiple choice, true, false, short answer, maybe matching or multiple answer kind of things. Pretty basic stuff, really. Since we'll be doing the exam in class, if you don't take the exam during class time, you'll have to talk to me about taking it outside of class time. When you do take your exams, good news, open book, open notes, open internet, right? Like I can stop you. I'm not going to walk around and pull all the cords out of the machines. Actually, they're all on wireless now, aren't they? But I always caution people, when you have so many resources, sometimes you find the wrong answers, not the right answers. The questions that I structure are based predominantly on what you find in the textbook and what I present during the lectures. I will give you a heads up before the exam so you know what's on the exam topic-wise, and predominantly it is concepts. There's not really a lot of programming exercises on the exams themselves. All right, like I said, we do have a midterm. Here it says approximately 7 weeks into the semester. For us, it'll be 5 to 6 weeks, given we're starting a week late. Midterm grades don't stick. I always have to remind people of that. So it's absolutely possible, and I get people all the time who like miss an assignment or two early part of the semester, and they're not even getting a C, and they start freaking out. And all I can say is don't freak out. It's real early in the semester. And even if you got an F, it doesn't mean that you can't finish with a good grade. It's just a snapshot at that point in time of where you sit. If anything, it should be encouragement. If you get like a low score, it should be encouragement to get busy and turn the stuff in. All right, let's talk about that. You know, I always tell students that the best way to get an A in a class is to figure out exactly what the instructor wants and give him exactly that or her. And I will tell you very explicitly when I put assignments out there what the criteria are for earning the points. So I will give you a particular task to complete, and that task will say, write the pseudocode, write the code, document it, or it'll be like 4 or 5 bullets, let's say. And if you can cross off each one of those bullets, I did this successfully, you have all your points. It's really as simple as that, if you turn it in on time. All right. Once it starts getting late, you will start receiving point deductions. However, there's a way to actually circumvent that too. If you read one of those things there, if you're working on something and you're only part done with it, or you're stuck on something and you're not going to hit that deadline, turn in what you have. Even if it's incomplete, tell me that it's incomplete and what you still need to work on. And if you turn that incomplete assignment in on time, you can finish it within 5 days with no late penalty. Don't get into that situation where you don't take advantage of that if you're falling behind. If the assignments become more than 2 weeks late, they will at best receive 50% of the points. So even if we're at week 15 or the last week of the semester and you have stuff you haven't turned in earlier in the semester, you can still turn it in. But just keep in mind, like if week 15 you're turning in a week 2 assignment, the best you're going to get is half the points. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't turn it in. A point is a point is a point, right? Get all the points you can. I will also throw in extra credit opportunities here and there, and extra credit opportunities never have a due date except for end of the course, obviously. And I encourage people to do that because it's a good way to pad your score, to make sure you get an A, or make sure you can maybe go over to the next grade. You don't want to be in that situation where I was 1 point short of an A. I could have done that silly little extra credit and earned the points. So always take advantage of that. I also have this little get out of homework free coupon. I know that other instructors offer it as well. And maybe they don't anymore, but I do. And you have to read mine really carefully though. This coupon is usable only for regular assignments. You can't use it for exams or projects or participation or extra credit. Only for regular weekly assignments and only for a maximum of 2 points. So for example, if you had a 2-point assignment and you're like, I don't get this, or I'm too busy, I got too much work this week, I'm just going to turn in the coupon and take those 2 points, you'll get 2 points. If it's a 5-point assignment and you turn in the coupon, you get 2 points. If it's a 1-point assignment and you turn it in, you get 1 point. You won't get 2 points. And no, you cannot use it for extra credit. But the other thing is you can only use it once. But don't put yourself in the situation where, you didn't get something done and you didn't use the coupon. I won't use it for you. You have to use it. And the way that you use it is you'll come into this document, you grab a screenshot of the coupon and upload that in place of your assignment. I will remind you as the semester goes. And then probably, last week or two, I'll say, don't forget to use your coupon. Or maybe I'll throw like that one last database assignment. You might be like, I'm not sure I want to do that one. I'll just throw the coupon at it and be done. Because I know how it goes. End of the semester, everybody's got projects on you and exams and trying to play catch up, and I get it. Incompletes are also a possibility, and I don't know if any of you have ever had that situation happen, but as they say, life happens. People get complications from time to time that impede them from being able to successfully finish a semester. Just this past semester, I had a student who's doing great, and then like come early April, her daughter out in Iowa got in a car accident, and it ended up in an altercation, and it ended up in jail time and hospitalization, and the person had to like go out there and take care of the situation. And I mean, it was like a totally like legitimate, like messed up thing, but they were doing great. In fact, look at the criteria here. You have to have completed 80% of the coursework with a passing grade in order to qualify for incomplete. So incompletes are not for people who decided not to do any homework, during the course of the semester, and then the last week they're like, can I get an incomplete? And I'm like, sorry, no. You got to like be in, you got to be with it and doing stuff and showing significant effort in order for that to even be offered. So just keep that in mind. It does happen. I understand things happen sometimes at the worst moments. Oh, the other interesting one I had last semester is 2 days before the end of the semester, one of my people went in for an appendix surgery, right? And she asked for an incomplete, and I gave it to her, but she still finished all the homework in her hospital bed. I was like, okay, well, you didn't really even need it, but you got it, anyhow. So that's just something you should know. It's kind of like a little safety net for us. All right, I think you guys probably understand what it means to participate. We talked about that. Just be here, talk once in a while, communicate with me, log into Blackboard, etc. In terms of grading, basically make sure that you get your work done on time, you achieve all the objectives outlined in the assignment, and you get all your points. It's really as simple as that. If you have some sort of a shortfall in the quality of the work, so let's say you write a program and I hit the button and it doesn't do anything, well that's not going to earn you all the points, obviously. But it doesn't mean that you won't get most of the points. See, that's the thing with programming. In programming, you can mess up one character in your code, one character, and the whole thing doesn't work. And it doesn't mean you're an idiot. That just means you maybe hit the keyboard by accident when you weren't looking and you can't figure it out. So I take all those things into consideration. Please make sure that you check your email often, because when I do announcements for the course, they will go to your official Gateway email. You guys should all know that by now. If you don't like checking your Gateway email, you can always have the Gateway email forward to your personal accounts. I really don't recommend that. I would strongly suggest that you keep a separation of concerns, like take your school stuff and do it with the school email account for a lot of different reasons. Gmail, which is the core of what Gateway does for email, does come up on mobile devices pretty well too, and you can run multiple Gmail accounts on your phones. And if you're not sure how to do it, I'd be glad to show you. I run like 3 of them on mine. So for anybody that might need services from Kevin who came in earlier today. In other words, people think of it as tutoring, right? And the department that offers it is called Disability Support Services. Does not mean you're disabled because you're going to see a tutor, right? You might be, but you might not be, most likely. The thing I'll say about the Learning Success Center is that it really actually is a good place to go for help if you are struggling. Kevin, he's really sharp with programming. I don't know who else does it down there, but you can always request him. These people have gone through these courses and have had experience with the instructors and what the instructors expect and how to turn stuff in, and they can be quite helpful. They won't do your homework for you, but they will help walk you through it. And I'll tell you what, if you find that you need a quiet place on campus to go work, Learning Success Center is also really good for that. In fact, if I'm at one of the other campuses and I need a place to go sit and work, that's where I go. And I usually get one of the little private rooms or something, go off in a corner somewhere, and it's a great place to work. But if you do need their services, or you have any special needs that I need to be aware of, you would contact the people in this department at whatever campus is appropriate. Obviously here we're in Racine. and then they would notify me of what that need might be, and then we work together to make sure that that need is filled. All right, there's a lot of standard disclaimers here that are part of everybody's syllabi. Make sure you know how to get to the student handbook. There is a link right here in this document, but it's also on the Gateway website for download or viewing. I love this one, the pandemic. That's the zombie clause, right? Just in case there's a zombie outbreak, that's our policy. You guys are supposed to laugh there. Thank you. If you also need tech support, these are the web address and the phone numbers you can call. If, for example, let's say you're at home, you can't get into Blackboard, you don't call me. I don't run Blackboard, but we do have a department that is responsible for it. You just simply log onto the support system, put in a support ticket, and they'll help you out either via email or via phone. We also have this Maxient report system, and that's something I hope you never have to use. I've had to use it once, and that was when there was an altercation happening on campus. And but for example, like if you see anything suspicious on campus, like somebody trying to steal something or somebody weird hanging out or whatever the case may be, that link that comes off the word form, I'll take you to the Gateway website where you can put in an incident report and make the people here on campus aware of it. All right, that basically is it. I will be putting out a calendar and stuff. That's all going to go into Blackboard. But since we're done with the syllabus, what I need you guys here in class to do is go back to our course shell now. And I do have a link here in Unit 0 to the Syllabus Acknowledgment discussion board. And I'm guessing probably a few of you have done it already. Thank you, Sherry. That's you, right? Obviously. But all you need to do is go in there, click Create Thread, and then just type in, I got the syllabus or something like that, you know, whatever you want to type in. Just so I know that you received it and you understand it. If you even want to say that, I got the syllabus and I understand, I will obey or something like that, that's okay. The syllabus acknowledgement is a graded activity. It's actually worth a whole point. That's to encourage you to do it because you have to do it. And if you don't, I will send you a little reminder to do it. All right, that will conclude the video that we're working on right now. Here in class, we are going to take a break for a little bit, and then we'll come back and continue.